there's this video, I think it was out of Florida University somewhere, research where they put a kid in a swiveling office chair in front of a screen, and then he had to do math. And so they sped up the footage, and he keeps swiveling and he keeps, going back to it. And then same kid, same chair, same screen. He was watching Star Wars, I believe. And I think he swiveled once, right? And the footage was next to each other. One was sped up, swiveling. The other one is sitting still, trying to make the same argument. Like, well, the kid's paying attention, isn't he now? That he's watching a movie. And here's the funny thing. When I listen to experts, like I always use Russell Barkley as the example, because he's the loudest, what I call the angriest, supposedly the advocate for people with ADHD. But he used to say, well, whoop-de-doo. The world, out there isn't all about playing video games and watching movies. And I go, well, hold on. But that's telling me that you're acknowledging that it's the environment that actually has a child be able to pay attention or not. So maybe we live in a world that is not, or I should say, that child isn't aligned with that part of his environment or the world right now. Therefore, he can't pay attention. It's boring. He checks out. But if it's aligned, like you said, playing baseball or playing video games, now there's attention. So to me, that alone is a very simple, logical way of saying, guys, you have it wrong. I'm sorry. It's not an attention deficit, first of all. But no one admits that. Not even Barkley would ever say, hey, guys, we should change it away from deficit, because it's not true, right? Because they would risk the legacy of their credentials and their work and all that stuff before they die. They don't want to admit that they were maybe wrong,
And I think there's significant financial conflicts of interest with Russell Barkley, which we do see in the industry. I'm wondering did you get a chance to interview him at all, or did you attempt to interview him at all for your film or book?
I did, yeah. I reached out to him early on, and he said, well, I'm already doing another ADHD documentary, which I saw that wasn't that great. It was okay. I forgot the name now. This is a while back. And he said, I'm not going to do 2 at a time. And I was like, okay, fine. So, that was that at the time. And honestly, over the years, like I almost, I'm sure you're familiar with Stephen Farone, who's I think he's the president of the World Federation of ADHD. He reached out to me. This was a weird, I'll make a long story short, but we had created a free downloadable PDF that was called the ADHD Diagnosis Survival Guide. And for parents, they could just download it. And everything was well-researched, documented. There wasn't a lot of science in there. If there was a link and all that, right? So it was a very interactive, fun thing for parents to download. We had thousands of downloads, which was great. And so a friend of mine who's been an activist in this space since the 80s, she had like a 600 people email list that she said, hey, I'll send this to all my ADHD contacts if you'd like. And I'm like, amazing. So she did. And one morning she told me I just sent it out. And 3 hours later, I get an email from Dr. Stephen Farone saying, got your survival guide, disagree with it, and there's a lot of misinformation. I was like, wait a minute. There's this like top expert that takes his time to not only look at it, but then to email me, this dad, right, to say this. I'm like, great. I'm going to write back and saying, hey, thanks for, reading it. I agree to disagree, whatever, but could you just point me towards misinformation, please? He wrote back. He did not address that question. He just said, well, your theory about co-regulation, like parent and child co-regulation as a way to bring more, peace into the household. He said, it certainly warrants more research and, studies. And that's all he said. And I'm thinking, well, buddy, that's been researched. That's not like a new thing, co-regulation, attachment, and all that stuff, right? But it just left me thinking, wow, like what was this interaction really about? What was actually said? I mean, he was definitely threatened. He couldn't back anything up that he said was misinformation. And in a way, he credited me with having something in there that's good, that should, that we should look into, but also not being aware of that it has been looked into. And so it just felt like, man, these guys are just like winging it. They're just blinded by money and interest groups and their credentials. And so, yeah, there's a lot of money, a lot of financial interests. And people can look that up on Wikipedia. In my book, I have a link to, it was a study or a sort of a list of mental health experts that receive money from pharmaceutical companies. And it's not just ADHD, it's everywhere.